What's happening, people? So the title of this talk is An Exponential Future. Specifically about the exponential growth of computer power, and the idea that very soon it will become incomprehensible to us. So I also write fiction, and I try to imagine the effect, as if to write like a sci-fi story, the effect of this increase in computer power, the deepening of technology, the complexity of it, and to try to build a world that my protagonist would live in, and it very quickly falls apart, mainly because the changes are just too broad. It's like I can't get high enough in order to see the world. I can't distance myself enough. Whenever I do it, it just keeps coming at me, and pathways and just like deeper changes happen. What's possible is just too broad. And every aspect, from transport to food production to work and nation states, everything begins to enter that second half of the chessboard that Kurzweil talks about, and I can't follow the story there. It just gets too big. So it's no longer my story in many ways. It's no longer the story that I can put myself in. It becomes the story of something else, not someone else, but something else. That's it's an alien story. A guy called Albert Allen Bartlett said the greatest shortcoming of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function. And I think if our future is characterized and dominated by this function, then the question becomes, how can we possibly survive? I think that the straightforward answer is adapt, of course. This is what all species need to do. But what does adapt mean in the face of something like this, in the face of an environment like this? We're not really built for these kind of numbers, and we're not built for such rapid change. I don't think any species around is. And when we're exposed to such things, such enormous effects, then we shut down, or we look for simple answers, simple solutions. We opt for the small things, even if it means delusion. We take it. So one of the ideas for adapting is interfacing. It's the idea of becoming half machine, essentially. And then, that's fine. What the actual solution will be is fine, but in the process of, it's not going to happen in 10 years and 20 years, and yet the changes that we see, this exponential function rising to a point where it's extremely hard to understand, where you've got actual chaos. The question becomes, what would the choice be for shocked and confused people? Would it be, okay, let's try and work on it for 50 years and try and adapt to it, or let's try and find a simple solution now? And I think in this, there's enormous potential for manipulation and exploitation. People in a state of shock, that's when some bad things happen. So there is that story of the Spanish sailors coming to, I think it was a Pacific island, traveling in ships that they anchored offshore, and it was said that the natives could not see the ships because these objects just simply weren't in their reality. They were too far removed. Perhaps it's an exaggeration. The real confusion lay in understanding what they were, what they could do. But certainly I think when something becomes so different, so outside of our current reality, then the reality that we evolved for, our senses simply will not perceive it. We have this reticular activation system. We kind of like, we see what we want to see. We see what's familiar. We see what we understand. And if we don't understand that, then not so much our eyes, but our mind just blocks it out, just lets it go. So I think it's almost certain that a large part of humanity will react in less than healthy ways to the change that's coming. And the question becomes, how much power will this group have? And will there be leadership enough to take us through the process of change that that deals with this exponential future? Will there be leadership that could allow us to adapt? I think that's questionable. It's good, especially given the leadership that exists today. It's not that good. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.